We are live.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the February 18th regular meeting of the East Hampton Town Board. Carol, would you please read the roll call?
Councilwoman Burke Gonzalez.
Present.
Councilman Lees.
Present.
Councilwoman Overby.
Here.
Councilman Bragman.
Here.
Supervisor Van Scoyac.
Present. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today's meeting will begin with two public hearings. We also have resolutions after a public portion where any member of the public may call in and bring us any concerns. We also have with us today our town crier, Mr. Hugh King. Welcome, Hugh.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you remember what happened last time? We were going to try to find out some fancy facts about Wayne Scott.
Yes.
Okay.
Fire away.
All right. Shall we start with Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so I went to the census and the demographic data to start. And in 1990, there were 487 folks. That was the population of Wayne Scott. In 2020, it went up 29% to 628 people. And then in 2010, it went up 4% to 650 as the total population. And the 2015 numbers, which is done in the interim before we get the 2020 census, went from 650 to 652. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, when the 2020 census is shared.
Wow. Thank you.
Sure.
Councilman Lees?
Sure. I like reading history and collecting history books. And one of my longest facts I've always held, and I didn't know was truth or such, until I actually started paddling or kayaking a lot in Georgia Pond. But there was actually a bridge that was across Georgia Pond that connected Wayne Scott to East Hampton. Now, the bridge itself there used to be turnpikes, two of them. One was actually at the Bull's Head Turnpike, which is the SAG Turnpike, and another one for a short period of time. So I've been told that they charged to go from Wayne Scott to East Hampton. Individuals got very upset. So the Burnt Point Bridge was actually built in 1873. And what it was actually, it was an earthen bridge in which they put across the pond. That Burnt Point Bridge was about 1,000 feet long. And according to a letter in the East Hampton Star, in the year 1879 or thereabouts, the inhabitants of Wayne Scott talked up a bridge, road across Georgia Pond, purchased land on the west side of the pond for the road from the east end of Wayne Scott Street to a point connecting with the proposed bridge of Jonathan Osborne, and paid him $110. There, they also bought land of Sinus Talmadge to connect the proposed bridge from the road leading to East Hampton, and paid him $260. The bridge was built and maintained for some time by the bridge company, the money, material, and labor being furnished voluntarily. The bridge road became a traveled highway from East Hampton to Bridgehampton for nearly a year, and it was then offered to the town free of charge. One of the road commissioners was in favor of accepting the same, and two were opposed. As time went on, it so happened that William Wood purchased land on the west side of the pond, through which his road passes, and of course claimed the road. Would it not be well for us to find out if the property which we have bought and justly belongs to us can be taken away simply because it is wanted? It reminds me of things happening in that P.
Mhm.
Either way, what I want to share actually is, if you don't mind, I'm going to screen share something here that I've been able to locate. Give me one moment on this.
Wow.
I first read a description of what David's talking about with the Friends of Georgica had published, I think, in one of their quarterly.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So This here is actually showing Georgia Pond clearly with a bridge that went over from Burnt Point to Briar Patch, right in this area here. And that was in 1873. And then again in 1902 with the bridge being a bridge gone in that area then too.
Yeah.
If I could just screen share one more to individuals that might go paddling on the pond at any times in there, if they can. Screen share one more, and of course it's not coming up. If we all look at Georgia Pond here, and we could see the pond from Burnt Point over to Briar Patch, this is Google Earth. You can see the remnants of it, of the peninsula here that would go straight across.
Wow.
And you can still see some locust posts there if you go close to the shoreline of the pond, and in that area. Overall, I want to thank again, yes, the Friends of Georgia Pond, where I pulled some of this information from. This just comes from long history books that are out here. Even I think C2C was another one I read it in. And special thanks to Gina Piestra from the East Hampton, Long Island collection also for that information.
Wow. Somebody told me about that bridge that was there, and now, do you know when it would disappeared or when it was gone?
Well, it was only 1 year, so I would have to say in the early 1870s.
Yeah. Good. That was
So,
a great one. Thank you.
There are remnants of a bridge in Northwest Creek, about 2/3 of the way towards the head of the creek, that was built by members of my family back in the late 1700s. And there are actually still at low tide in some of those little drains, you can see the remnants of posts and timbers. And again, probably to avoid having to pay the turnpike fee.
Did you get any money from the tolls?
I don't know. That's something else to look at, because I know there was a toll house on 114 at one point for the turnstile there on the turnpike.
Yeah, it's by where the Jewish cemetery is.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I guess Supervisor Van Scoyac, do you have a wainscot fact or fancy?
Yeah, I do. I was thinking about who I might talk to get a verbal sort of background on some of the things in wainscot, and I thought of the Honorable Dennis DeAndrea,
That's right.
and who is a member of the Osborne clan and still lives there in the vicinity of, he lives on Wainscot Hollow Road. And I was talking to him about a few things, and I'd heard about some people in Wainscot being called dumplings, and I wasn't really sure what the background was on what a dumpling was. And I didn't know if it was particular to Wainscot or not. And it's not necessarily particular to Wainscot, although I think Wainscot had a number of them. A dumpling is someone who is born, raised, lived, and dies all within the same household, the same original house. Very, very few of those anymore. And I think some of the last probably in town, are or were in Wainscot.
I know one.
Carol knows a dumpling. There you go. So there aren't many left, but I think that's kind of remarkable when you think about it in these times, that you could be born at the home that you live in for your entire life and die in that same house. That's kind of amazing. But in talking with him, we were also talking about this is Black History Month, and part of our agrarian past here is that during season, to harvest various crops, we would have migrant farm workers, and they would start, further south and work the crops all the way up the coast, sometimes ending as far as Maine if it was a potato crop. And so that there were work camps that were built to house these migrant farm workers. And Wainscot still has remnants of that part of the agrarian history. There is a migrant worker shack that still exists, was built, Dennis thought, probably in the late 19-teens or early 20s. And it's situated between two potato barns off Hollow Road, and seems to be in stark contrast with the opulence of many homes that are now being built in Wainscott. So I think that's, an interesting part of our history, something that we probably shouldn't lose, and maybe look to see if we can preserve that historic structure.
Yeah, in addition to that, Mr. Supervisor, Wainscott had a train station at one time. And in Ron Zeal's, the famous book about railroads, he has a picture of it, and it was segregated. There was one side for the workers and the other side for the Wainscott people. Okay. Councilwoman Overby.
So mine is much shorter, and this is partly a question for you, Hugh.
Okay.
So during the 40s, 50s, 60s, and early 70s, who taught at the Wainscott School for 28 years in that single one-room schoolhouse? And it's a woman, she retired in 1972. Her classes varied in size from 7 to 24. Do you know who that was?
No, I don't.
Her name, do you want me to tell you her name?
Yeah, tell us, it's not Edith Manser.
It is Edith Manser.
It was?
It was Edith Manser.
My
She
goodness.
died when she was only 67, I believe. And, spent the rest of her life. She was born in Rochester, New York, came to East Hampton, and started to teach at the East Hampton School, but then moved to the Wainscott School for 28 years.
Well, wow. So the Wainscott School building that she taught in is still there, right? It's now an office, right? Next to the
Yes, it's
next to
still
the
there.
other school, yeah. Councilman Bragman.
I have a little brain teaser for you as well.
Mhm.
I wanted to ask you about the Wainscott Library and ask if you know where it was located in 1912.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I'm going to be very impressed here.
It was
Let's hear it.
located in the Wainscott Windmill.
Yes. And do you know what happened? Do you know
Yeah.
anything after that? I'm sure you do.
Oh, I do. That was going to be one of the questions I was going to ask the board members. Do you know?
I do know.
Okay. Why don't you tell us?
It was moved to Montauk in 1922, and where it eventually became part of another person's house.
Right.
Apparently the Lathrop Brown House. And during the Second World War, when that house was acquired by the military, the mill returned to Wainscott, and it was placed on the association grounds next to the tennis courts.
That's right. The Army kicked them out of Montauk. I think that's where they put those guns,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And what happened is they had to take the windmill apart because it's during World War II, 1942, and the Army wouldn't let them take any wires down. So they take the windmill apart, they get it to Wainscott, and guess what? Part of it had rotted away, so they couldn't put it back together again. So they needed new lumber. Well, this is during World War II. You're not getting lumber for a windmill unless you're a member of the Georgia Association. And somehow I think the lumber came from Pennsylvania, and then they put it back together again. Yeah, that's a great story. Okay, I have some questions for next time if you want them.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Shoot.
Okay, Councilwoman Gonzalez, tell us the derivation of Wainscott's name.
Okay.
Where did it come from? Councilman Lease, Wainscott has 4 school buildings still standing. Where are they? Supervisor Van Scoyac, there was probably the first great historian in our town was born in Wainscott. Who was it? And what did he do?
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Overby, how about shipwrecks off of Wainscott?
Okay. Is that a trick question? Like
No, there were some shipwrecks off of Wainscott. See if
Okay,
you
I
can
just wanna
find
make
one.
sure.
No, it's
Okay,
a quick
I'm
question.
looking for shipwrecks off of Wainscott.
And then Councilman Bragman, you can look for any whales that were caught off Wainscott. Any whaling stories off of Wainscott? That should do it, right?
Beautiful.
Hugh, thanks so much for coming again today and keeping East Hampton's history alive.
Well, thank you all for keeping it alive. Thank you for doing all this work. It makes it fun.
And this makes a very good segue into the designation of Second House and Barn as a historic landmark today. We're having a public hearing on that. And before you go, how about just a real quick primer on Second House? And
Well, wait a minute. No, here's what we're doing. So, thank you for saying that. The barn behind Second House, there's a bell in there. There's a 20-inch bell that has the dates of either 67 or 1873 on it, and we're trying to find out where that bell came from.
I'm guessing it came off a ship.
Yeah, that's what but now we have to find the shipwreck that it came off of. So we are working on that. And thank you for taking care of Second House, because what happened to First House?
Yes, burned down.
It burned down in 1909, and it was never replaced. And it was right at the fork of the road, right, from Old Montauk and New Montauk Highway. And then, of course, you've got Third House. And then Second House also, unfortunately, when people owned it, they kind of redid the upstairs in the place, right? And it has to be all that stuff had to be taken away. There was some company that came in there that decorated it, I think. Yeah, thank you for doing that. That's all I have. I don't have any more on that.
Hey, thank you, Hugh.
Okay.
Okay, without any further ado, Carol, if you'd read the first hearing notice for today.
First, I'll read the COVID disclosure. Due to the public health and safety concerns related to COVID-19, the town board will not be meeting in person. In accordance with the governor's executive order 202.1, the February 18, 2021 meeting of the town board will be held via video conferencing, and a transcript will be provided at a later date. The public will have the opportunity to see and hear the meeting live and provide comments. The public can watch the live meeting on local TV channel 22 and live online from the public meetings link on the LTV website. If any interested members of the public would like to provide comments on the public hearing, comments can be called in during the meeting to the call-in number provided hereon and to the town's website and displayed on the live feed at the time of the hearing, 351-888-6331. Pursuant to the requirements of the executive order of the governor of the state of New York, a transcript will be prepared of the public hearing and a copy shall be filed with the town clerk and placed upon the town's website, and comments will be accepted in writing by the town board to be received by email to cbrennan@ehamptonny.gov or by mail to the town clerk, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, and actually received by the close of business on March 4th, 2021, or 1 week after the posting of the hearing transcript, whichever is later. Please check the meeting agenda posted on the website for any changes to the instructions to access the virtual meeting or for updated information. Please take notice that the town board of the town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing pursuant to section 247 of the general municipal law of the state of New York on Thursday, February 18th at 11 a.m. or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard regarding local law amending chapter 255 zoning of the East Hampton Town Code at Article 12, Use District Zoning Map, and Article 8, Table of, no, it's not 8, that's 13, Table of Historic Landmarks and Historic Districts in order to designate certain structures located at 12 Second House Road in Montauk as the second house and barn and described on the Suffolk County tax map as 348,331.
Thank you very much, Carol. David, did you want to give just a really brief introduction?
Sure. So the Second House designation, I believe, is a long time coming. The town council over the last couple of years has been restoring the Second House through the phases. And one of the things in the designation we found out and looking into the history of it is that it was never locally designated by the town council as a historical structure or its barn. We did receive a letter of recommendation for such from Bob Hefner, who is the town's architectural consultant on many projects, and recommending that historical designation be for the second house and also the barn, not the lands, but just the two structures. Through letters of through support that we've received from the Montauk Historical Society and others, we brought this forward to the town council at a work session, and we are now here at a public hearing, and I look forward to seeing what the public says.
Thank you, David. Michael will open up for any callers who would like to comment on this hearing for the historical designation for second house.
Yes, we have a caller on hold. The last four digits are 2905. I'll unmute that caller now.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes, good morning, Supervisor Van Scoik and Town Council members. This is Andy Harris, Chair of the East Hampton Town Property Management Committee. I'm calling in today in support of today's public hearing to designate the second house and barn in Montauk as an historic landmark. Our committee is a 11-member volunteer advisory committee established by East Hampton Town in September of 2014. We meet monthly. We are focused on town-owned properties to determine the best public use for such properties, to create management plans and develop guidelines and procedures for the use and maintenance of those properties. And in fact, over the past 6 years, we have seen the successful restoration to community use of Carroll Morrison Park and Fort Pond House in Montauk, Duck Creek, and of course Second House, where we have been spearheading the restoration since 2016. We began with a 2-year restoration assessment phase from 2016 to 2017, which included discussions about historic landmark designation with the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation. So it is encouraging to see the town move forward with the designation today. Obviously, as many are aware, we almost completed phase 2 of what will be a 3-phase restoration plan at Second House. The building looks exceptional thanks to the work of many and the funding by East Hampton Town, of which we're very appreciative. And in fact, we have a very enthusiastic, willing licensee, Montauk Historical, who have been instrumental in the restoration and will be a very appropriate partner in the operation of the building when it is fully open to the public. So thank you, members of the board. We look forward to ensuring this designation moves forward, both at the local level, state, and potentially at the federal level as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andy, and thanks for your work on the Town Property Management Committee. Michael, do we have any other callers?
No, we do not.
I'll entertain a motion to close.
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. Carol, if you'd read the next public hearing notice.
Take notice that the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing on February 18th at 11 a.m. or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard to consider the following modification of Urban Renewal Map EH10. Elimination of the eligibility for abandonment of the remaining portions of Montauk Shores Boulevard from Buckskill Road to the MTA LIRR right-of-way as depicted in Old File Map Study Map 156 Montauk Shores, also known as Sheet EH10, as shown on the sketch entitled Alternative A Montauk Shores Map Number 156. Except as amended above, the requirements of UR Map EH10 shall remain in full force and effect.
Thank you, Carol. Michael, do we have any callers on the line?
Yes, we do. I have a caller with the last four digits 8764. I'll unmute that caller now.
Good morning, Town Board. This is David Buda. I'd like to comment on this public hearing. When it was first raised during the January 19th work session under the original description of a UR road abandonment moratorium, I was concerned when it became clear that it only focuses in on one particular UR map sheet. I was less concerned, but I still have some questions that I'd like answered, and I think it's unfortunate that there's no one being offered to explain the rationale and necessity of this action at this time. I appreciate that the town board has the right under the code, under Chapter 232, Urban Renewal, to, on its own motion, make a request for consideration of a modification. However, to the best of my knowledge, up to this point in time, you have not complied with the necessary requirement for consultation with the town planning board and town engineer. I have looked at the planning board agendas since that January 19th meeting, and I've seen no mention of this topic being planned to be discussed by the planning board. I have not watched all their meetings, so I don't know for sure whether they've discussed it. But there hasn't been any mention of any resolution being adopted by the planning board. Let me just read for you Town Code Section 232-170B, consultation with town planning board and town engineer, which I guess we would have to effectively modify to say consulting engineer. Before approving and proposing modification to an urban renewal plan, the town board shall request and receive written reports from the planning board and town engineer setting forth their views on the consistency of the proposed change with the urban renewal plan, the practicality of the proposed change, and their recommendations as to whether or not the changes should be approved. Now, I appreciate that the resolution scheduling this hearing makes reference to a SECRA negative declaration based on a report prepared by the planning department. I have unfortunately not seen that yet. I haven't requested it. I will before this matter is ultimately concluded. Perhaps that will explain and answer some of my questions. But I did take the effort to take a look at the 1927 filed map number 156, which established Montauk Shores Boulevard as a 60-foot right-of-way. And I've looked at the tax map, most recent tax map that's available to me, which is last modified in 2017. And I do see that approximately 5 properties located on, I guess it's now called Blue Jay Way, have abandoned a portion, half of Montauk Shores Boulevard, 30 feet that is contiguous to their properties. So it looks to me, and it's a very confusing area to understand unless you actually get there and walk the area, I'm sure. It looks to me like what is being abandoned by those property owners that front on Blue Jay Way are only one half of the Montauk Shores Boulevard. And I'm not sure whether or not continuing and allowing them to do so would interfere with the possibility of a 30-foot walkway or nature course. And I'm not sure why this whole process is being proposed at this time. I got the impression from Mr. Jilnicki that there was some impetus for it, something that was causing this to be given the town board's immediate attention, but I'm totally in the dark, and I think the public's in the dark. Also, I'd like to make mention of the fact that the hearing notice is slightly deficient in not mentioning that the proposal would also eliminate the allowed abandonment of a portion of what's called Green Hollow Road. So it's not just Montauk Shores Boulevard that's affected. It's also a portion of what's called Green Hollow Road. So I think that the town attorney, town planning director should explain what's going on, why this is a good thing in their opinion, and that you're required to obtain the opinions of the planning board and town engineer or town consulting engineer before you finalize any action. Thank you.
Thank you, David. John, would you care to?
Yeah, this was actually, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
I
this
can.
was actually, this was brought to the town board by way of the director of planning who made the request. I can't speak to the process she used before it came to the town board. And unfortunately, she's, I believe, getting, she's out of the office for some reason this afternoon. She had an appointment, so she sent us, a note this morning saying she wouldn't be available. But basically, as far as the half of Green Hollow Road, that's already abandoned. Or it looks to be abandoned from the map I have, but possibly it hasn't been. The map that I'm showing as proposed actually shows. If you look at the proposed maps from the planning department, it shows the parcels that have abandoned portions of Montauk Shores. It also shows half of Green Hollow being abandoned to the parcel to the west. I'm assuming that was based off of the existing tax maps, but we of course can verify that. Planning department brought this to the board's attention, feeling that this was an appropriate area to maintain as both a pedestrian area and a wildlife corridor, and was concerned about the numbers of abandonments being submitted in this area. In fact, there was going to be a proposal to actually further limit abandonments that would impact access to town-owned properties. But during the pendency of this review, they were already processed and abandoned, so those were taken off the proposal. This was the first situation that was brought to my attention by the planning department in recent times, and which led into the conversation about, are there other areas that we need to look at? And so that was this was not the basis for the discussion of a moratorium, but it was possible other locations. I've since had conversations with the certain members of the Trails Committee, and I believe that we could probably prepare a list of other locations fairly quickly. So I'm not seeing, frankly, a need for a moratorium at this time for the other properties. But as I said, this came as a recommendation from the planning director for that purpose, also noting that since it is a right-of-way for utilities, and there are existing utility, I believe there's towers in there and high energy lines, that they didn't feel it was appropriate location for people to actually absorb into their properties.
If I could just make one comment.
Yeah.
If I could just respond. Obviously, any Long Island Power Authority easements would remain even if property was abandoned. Those easements are long-standing and they would not be affected by abandonment. What I'm suggesting is, in view of the fact that at least 5 property owners on Blue Jay Way have already abandoned their entitled half of this particular Montauk Shores Boulevard, perhaps what really needs to be preserved and changed is only the northern 30-foot section of Montauk Boulevard, and to ensure that none of that is abandoned. And then you would have the possibility of a 30-foot pedestrian and nature pass-through. And so, I'm also concerned with the fact that this whole process does not give notice, explicit notice to any affected property owners who, by virtue of the 1977 adoption of the old filed map plans, may have been planning on and expecting and thought they were entitled, when they saw fit to do so, to abandon the 30 feet to the rear of their properties and incorporate them into their properties. And unfortunately, the town code process for modifying the urban renewal maps does not require any notification to anyone other than by way of public notice in the newspaper, which I'm sure all of the town reads studiously, right? Okay, that's it.
Thank you so much, David. Be safe.
I'll be happy to discuss Mr. Buda's suggestion with the planning director when she's back, and I can report back to the board on those thoughts if you like.
Great.
Thank you, John.
Sure.
I'll entertain, any other callers on the line? Michael?
No, there are no more
I
callers.
would appreciate if you would just confirm, John, that the
Yeah.
town board can't finally act until it receives some kind of planning board and town consulting engineer comment.
Mm-hmm. I'll certainly talk to Joanne about the process to get to the town board. I don't know what she's done prior with this proposal, so I'll check on it. And then obviously we have to comply with the statute. So
Thank you,
Town
David.
code, not statute. Okay,
Thank
bye-bye.
you for calling.
You're welcome.
Any other callers on the line, Michael?
No, we do not have any more callers.
Okay, based on the conversation, I'd like to hold this hearing open until we hear back from you, John.
sure.
Is
What about it-
there a time? Do you want to say until March the 4th?
Why don't we could do that. I'll have a discussion with her, within the next week, but we don't have a work session.
Our next
till
regular
March.
meeting is the
We have
4th.
a work session on the 2nd.
So we'll have a work session on the 2nd. So let's, we have a second on Sylvia's motion to hold open to the 4th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and
Aye.
carried.
Let me ask a question. Are you going to open it back up on the 4th? Am I putting it on the agenda?
That's a good question.
By leaving it open, it's automatically going to go on the agenda.
Mhm.
I think that's okay. Does
Yeah.
anybody
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree
have a
with
problem with that? Okay.
No.
All right, great. That's what we'll do. Thank you, Carol.
Mhm.
And it still gives time based on open meetings laws for, for residents to write in until when the transcripts are posted too.
Very good. So moving on now, we come to the public portion where any member of the public may address the board on any topic. We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Michael, do we have any callers on the line?
No, we do not have any comment. We do not have any callers.
We'll move on now then to resolutions. Kathy, you have resolutions to offer?
I do. Resolution 2021-243 is approval of the warrant. The 2020 claims total $251,124.69. The 2021 claims total $5,611,548.69. The utility warrant for 2020 totals $1,934.75. And the utility warrant for 2021 totals $53,157.24.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
2021-244 creates and appoints the Springs Park Committee for 2021.
Second.
Can we have some discussion on this?
Yes, go ahead, Jeff.
I've commented before that I think that there is no real problem with the Springs Park and that it kind of evolved as the community wanted it to evolve. And I recognize a couple names on this committee. I'm just, first of all, I don't agree that the discussion that we've had, with our own town consultants, really focused on removing Russian olive trees. I don't see that as a safety concern. I know there's been some talk that dog owners can lose their dogs in the park, but it's a large park and they don't go anywhere. So you usually find the dogs if they get out of sight for a while. So I don't think it should be cited as a safety concern. I guess my only comment on this is it seems to have, jumped very far along in establishing a committee without really much, if any, public input. I know that it was on for discussion in front of the Springs CAC. I also know that the community at large was not allowed to comment on it. And it would seem like this is, not, I don't know where the urgency to do this is coming from, but it doesn't seem like it's coming from the public. And I'm not sure that the public's been really invited in to discuss it, nor have we really discussed the issue at any kind of length in front of the town board. So I have reservations about this. Forming a committee is certainly not, doesn't pose any kind of immediate risks, but I am a little concerned about the process here because I don't really think the public's been involved. It's really been confined to the CAC.
So Jeff, I just would add a couple things. First of all, the community at large, you said the community at large is not allowed to comment. It's not allowed to comment. In fact, this was discussed by, I think, 65 people at the Spring CAC, and which is the conduit.
Right, we had 94 people, 20 were CAC members, so 74 were folks that used the dog park on a regular basis.
I think it's important to understand that, in fact, we used the conduit and way for the community to directly let us know. In addition to that, I know a number of us have received direct comments from members of the public using that park about their concerns over safety, particularly, specifically regarding the invasive autumn olives. That we've had deer that have gotten in through holes in fences that in fact have been killed or chased around, causing hazard situations. You have a wild animal in an enclosure with other animals chasing it, with pedestrians walking around. So there are a lot of issues that have been brought up directly to us by the community, both through the CAC and directly to us. So I think it is something that's important to do, and I thank Kathy as being the Springs liaison and this being in Springs for taking this on to further engage the public directly in conversations about management of that park.
Yeah, and if I may add, so I brought this up in my liaison report on February 2nd. On February 4th, the Star did a front page article on the dog park or on the Springs Park. I was quoted, as were folks that use the Springs Park. The folks that are on this list approached me and asked to be put on it. Some of them sent emails to their friends and other folks that they see at the dog park or at the Springs Park that want to be a part of this. This came to us, if you recall, from land acquisition and management, that there was a safety issue with the park. And this could, the result of this could be better signage. It could be, removal of some of the invasive species that prevent folks from having sight lines to see their dogs and clean up after their dogs. And I think that this is exactly the process that we look to do. We look, we make, better decisions, more informed decisions when we reach out to the public and they participate, collaborate, and assist us and give us, advice, since they're the folks that are using the park. And it's also stated in the management plan that in cooperation with the members of the dog walking community who have utilized the park more than any other user group, the town of East Hampton must rely on this group to shoulder some of the responsibility for this special area. So I think, quite frankly, that this is exactly what we do. And I'm looking forward to meeting with these folks that want to keep the Springs Park the treasure that it is.
Is there any other discussion before we move on?
Excuse me, I want to make one other comment.
Sure, Jeff, go right ahead.
Public comment usually means comment where they talk. My understanding is that those 60 or 70 people were not allowed to comment at the Spring CAC meeting. Am I incorrect on that? That's what
that is correct. But in the chat box, can I just, if I may,
what kind of public
asked me a
comment
question.
What kind of public
Jeff,
comment?
why don't you give her a chance to answer the question you asked? Okay, just settle down a little bit.
I put in the chat on the first of all, trying to have a Zoom meeting with 94 participants would be really challenging. So the chair had decided that the committee members could speak, but the other folks that were there could listen. The chat in that Zoom was incredibly active. I had said that I wanted to put a committee together. People in the chat were volunteering to be on the committee. I also placed my email address in the chat, and I got a number of emails from folks asking to be able to participate. So, and then again, as I said, front page article in the Star put it on their Instagram account. So there was, a lot of notice in the public that this committee was being formed. And like I said, I'm very excited by the reaction to folks. The committee that we're appointing today has vetted the resolution. I had sent it out as a draft on Friday night. I got comments back from them. Those comments were addressed and included in this resolution. So I'm very comfortable moving forward today.
So can I ask you, Jeff, are you opposed to the formation of this committee?
You can find that out when we take a vote on it.
Okay, well, let's move on then to a vote.
My only comment was that, that they were not allowed to actually participate in the meeting. And I'm fully aware of the whole evolution of this, the history, the memos that we got from land management. I read the story that was headlined, "Howell, no, don't change it." So I'm aware of that, but I just think it's not real. There hasn't been a huge amount of public participation, and we're the decision makers, not the CAC. I'll
just say that participation means, being in a meeting and listening. It doesn't always mean talking.
Well, I think I think a large part of it is getting people's comments, but we can move forward. I've made my point. Thank you, Peter.
Well, my point is, I think by forming this committee, we're getting more participation from the community right now.
Well,
and that they're now no worries. And that there now is a forum for individuals to discuss this of user groups of the Springs Park. I know there was a Springs Park committee initially when it was a long time ago. Karen Volshay was on it when there were grander plans for the area for this park. But also now everyone always can contact town board members, call into the public portions and let us know. But now we have a dedicated group that's focused on this. So that's the reason why I would support it.
Thank you, David. Any other comments before we move to a vote? So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed and carried. Kathy, please continue.
Great. Resolution 2021-245 is to appoint East Hampton volunteer ocean rescue members for 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
2021-246 is to repurchase Fort Hill Cemetery niches for the sum of $1,500 to be paid to the estate of Rose Reedy Gannon.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
221-247 is to retain John Huber, Esquire, for cellular communications 2021 in an amount not to exceed $15,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
248 is to retain the law office of Vincent Toomey for general matters in calendar year 2021 in an amount not to exceed $160,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
221-249 is to retain the law office of Vincent Toomey for PBA matters for 2021 in an amount not to exceed $15,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
221-250 is to retain L.K. McLean Associates for professional services for the preparation of a survey map with topographic information at a cost not to exceed $10,750.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
251 is a notice to bidders, EH 21-010. It's the supply and delivery of food service and kitchenware items. The bid is available today and due back on 3/4.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
221-252 is to accept bid EH 21-002, supply and delivery of frozen foods, and that goes to Mibble Foods of New York, Inc.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
221-253 is to accept bid EH 21-003, supply and delivery of groceries, and that goes to Mibble Foods of New York.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
2021-254 is to accept bid EH 21-004, supply and delivery of dairy products. It goes to Mibble Foods of New York, Inc.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
221-255 is to designate the East Hampton Volunteer Ocean Rescue and Auxiliary Squad as an emergency rescue and first aid squad. And today we're resolving that the town board acknowledges that members of Ocean Rescue may display a green light on their personal vehicles when engaged in an emergency operation pursuant and in accordance with New York State vehicle and traffic law.
Second, and just a quick discussion, I want to thank Fred Thiel and Ken Lavelle for assisting the township in moving this forward, the members of the Ocean Rescue Unit, and also everyone on this board for assisting this. I think this will help with our water safety for the whole entire community. It's a great resolution.
Great.
Very much. And we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed and carried.
2021-256 is the point lifeguards for the preseason training for 2021. They're appointed to a preseason training programs at a titles of hourly rates listed below to be paid bi-weekly effective March 1st, 2021.
I'm going to second. I'm so glad we're talking about lifeguards while it's snowing.
As it's snowing outside.
Exactly. Okay, we have 2021-257. This is the point.
Wait, we didn't vote
on that.
We have a second.
Second.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
I think we voted on summer.
Well, we did. We voted on summer, and sorry for the delay because I just texted staff to let them know, to let the public know that we're going to have an early closure today. 1 p.m. town facilities will close. So I'll announce that again later in the meeting. But thank you for that.
I'm going to offer resolution 2021-257. This is to appoint part-time harbor master Christopher Chinque has been hereby appointed to part-time position of harbor master with East Hampton Town Police Department's Marine Patrol, hourly rate of $25, effective March 1st, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 2021-258 is the point. It's for a budget modification for recreation from office expense for the amount of $1,000 to admin costs for a credit card in the amount of $1,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
2021-259. This is to authorize the CPF project plan addition of the property for the Way property, which is at tax map 300-42-1-14. We held the public hearing on this on January 21st, 2021 at 11 a.m. And again, the town board would like to amend the plan as most recently adopted on July 7th, 2011 to add approximately 1.16 acres of developed land owned by Philip Way at 252 Gerard Drive, Springs.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
I'd like to offer 2021-260. This is to authorize the CPF acquisition of the Philip Way property located at 240, 246, 252, and 256 Gerard Drive, Springs, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-42-1-11, 12, 14, and 16. The town board held this public hearing on January 21st, 2021 to consider the acquisition of this approximately 4.1 acres of land at $3.6 million.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
I'd like to offer resolution 2021-261. This is to approve the restoration of the Tar Works area in Hither Hills Preserve, whereas the Nature Preserve Committee and the Land Acquisition and Management Department have proposed a restoration project of the Tar Works area, which consists of approximately an acre of land at the Hither Woods Preserve in Montauk.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
262 to retain the law offices of James Ryan for 2021 for matters concerning the tax certiorari, and the tax assessment for calendar year 2021 at a rate of $200 per hour, not to exceed $25,000 upon submitted claims and vouchers.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
263 is to retain outside counsel 2021, the law offices of Con, where the town has retained the services of law offices of Con for outside counsel to represent the town in various matters for the calendar year. And this amount is not to exceed $30,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
2021-264 is the SEP L.K. McLean Associates proposal for engineering services for the Montauk Skate Park renovation and expansion project. Proposal was submitted on February 16th, and the services to be provided with in conjunction with Pivot Custom for tasks A through E would be for a total amount of $42,260 for engineering and design services.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
2021-265, this authorized a license agreement with Collection Sites LLC for COVID testing at the Montauk Point State Park Lions Field.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
2021-266 is authorized payment to Best Climate Control for a 2020 invoice in Parks and Recreation. And the amount of the invoice was $895.79.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
Resolution 2021-267 is to authorize the Maloney Management Plan resolution, whereas the town board had a public hearing on January 21st regarding the proposed management plan for the Maloney Preserve located at 880 and 888 Springs Park Place Road, tax map 300-63-3-24.2 and 24.4. And this resolved that the Maloney Preserve Management Plan dated 12/3/20 is hereby adopted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed and carried.
268 is upon the AR Management Plan authorizing resolution, whereas the town board held a public hearing on this on January 21st, 2021, regarding the proposed management plan for Hook Pond Cove Eyre Preserve located 81 Ocean Avenue, tax map 301-13-10-17. Resolved that the Hook Pond Cove AR Preserve Management Plan dated the 9/23/20 is hereby adopted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
I'd like to offer resolution 2021-269. This is to adopt beach parking permits pursuant to Chapter 240 of Vehicles and Traffic, Article 6 Permit Parking, and Chapter 91 Beaches and Parks, Article 1 Beaches, Section 91.5 Vehicles on the Beach. This will put the beach parking permit types resident parking permits free, non-resident parking permit family parking is $150 with a limit permits for 2021 limited to $800. Cooperative ownership
800 permits.
800 permits. I apologize. I'm starting to get tongue-tied. Need a drink. I have a sip of water. Cooperative ownership parking permit at $150. The total permits for 2021 will be limited to $125. Commercial lodging facility parking permits, $150. Total permits for 2021 limited to $600. General non-resident is $500. This is for the parking permit. Total permits for 2021 limited to $800. The daily beach parking fee, $50. Non-resident beach driving permits, $400. I would also like to amend this permit to add 2021 launch ramp permits for $100. And then the fees and total permits authorized are subject to change by further resolution of the town board.
David, I think the permits are currently $100.
Yeah, they're
We
currently.
talked about making the launch permit $150 if the board approves.
Okay,
Do
so
you have a resident and non-resident launch fee for that too?
Resident is their beach permit,
Covered
is
by
their
the
launch.
beach parking
It's
fee.
only a non-resident permit.
So I'll amend that to launch ramp permits to non-resident for $150.
And
Can I just
we
ask?
noted, go ahead, Kathy.
Well, in here, we state that the resident parking permit is free. Should we also state that
Launch permit free.
what the other
For
free
resident.
permits are too, so that it's all in one place?
What other permits?
Well, beach driving is free
Okay.
For residents.
for residents.
Okay,
And each launch is free.
It's free if they have a resident
It's,
park.
yeah, that's fine. And I also think it's important to note that the fees and total permits authorized are subject to change based on further resolution.
okay, so I am going to just amend what I read there to add launch, non-resident launch ramp permits is $150. Non-resident beach driving permits are free, and resident launch ramp permits are also free.
And then the
I have a
amended.
Second amended.
Amended at any time.
It can be amended at any time.
By resolution.
It says that already.
It says that at the very bottom. I just read that. Fees and
Yeah.
total permits authorized are subject to change by further resolution of the town board. So do I have a second as amended?
Second is amended.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. Thank you, David. Sylvia?
Resolution 2021-270 is a notice of public hearing to adopt the new Chapter 155 landscaping and gardening. And this is the second public hearing that we have on this. We updated the legislation based on public comments. The notice is given that the town board will hold the public hearing in East Hampton, New York, Thursday, March the 4th, 2021 at 2 p.m., not at 11, at 2 p.m. or as soon thereafter.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
Resolution 2021-271 is a notice of public hearing for the local law to amend Chapter 185 noise. This is the companion piece to the landscaping that we just talked about. This would also be a public hearing on Thursday, March the 4th, 2021 at 2 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
Resolution 272, I'm going to pull this resolution as there may be some mistakes in it. So we're just going to pull the resolution completely.
Do I have a second?
Second. I
All
do
in
need.
favor?
Yeah.
Pulling the resolution.
Do we need a vote on that? I'm pulling the
I guess you
resolution.
could withdraw it.
It's
Yeah,
being.
yeah.
All right, so resolution 2021-273 is to retain outside counsel, Devitt Spellman Barrett LLP, Ellis versus Town of East Hampton, 2021. Resolved, said counsel shall be $200 per hour, an amount not to exceed $10,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
Resolution 2021-274 is to retain outside counsel, Devitt Spellman Barrett LLP. It's TBW Realty LLC versus the Zoning Board of Appeals. This is also said counsel shall be in the amount not to exceed $10,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
Resolution 2021-275 is to retain outside counsel Devitt Spellman Barrett LLP. This is Home Team versus Town of East Hampton. Again, payment is said counsel shall be $200 per hour, not to exceed $10,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
Resolution 2021-276 is to retain outside counsel Devitt Spellman Barrett LLP. It's 175 Atlantic Avenue LLC versus the Zoning Board of Appeals. Counsel shall be an amount not to exceed $10,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
Resolution 2021-277 is to retain outside counsel Devitt Spellman Barrett LLP, Bistrian versus Town of East Hampton. And it's $200 per hour, not to exceed $5,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
Resolution 2021-278 is to retain Regano LLC as an environmental counsel for 2021. Resolve that payment to said counsel shall be an amount not to exceed $20,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
Resolution 2071 is Manor House Project Attorney General filing fee. Whereas Sertelman Balin did prepare and will submit an amendment to the offering plan outlining the air quality issues and the remediation work at the direction of the town. Therefore, be it resolved that Donna Marie Korth Esquire and the firm of Sertelman Balin shall be paid from the budget account from Community Housing Opportunity Fund in the amount of $225.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
Resolution 280 is a contract extension RFP EH 2020-102. This is for household hazardous waste collection days. It went to Radiac Environmental Services. The town has entered into an agreement that is renewable upon agreement of the parties for 2 additional and 1 year terms, and it is services for the period of 1 year to be effective from April 29th, 2021 through April 28th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried.
Resolution 2021-281 is retain Vincent Gardiello of the Rayner Group for engineering services. He is hereby engaged to provide engineering services on an as-needed basis to the Planning Department for professional services of an engineer for the review of drainage plans and similar items related to Planning Department review and urban renewal matters. That such cost shall be paid from budget account in the Planning Department in the amount not to exceed $15,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 2021-282 is a budget modification for the Planning Department, moving from furniture and fixtures, $250, from travel and conferences, $750, and from other in the amount of $500 for a total of $1,500 to go to office expense.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 283 is to retain Kaplan Kirsch for 2021 for multiple litigation matters with legal fees and expenses not to exceed $25,000. And that's it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 284 is to retain Regano LLC as outside environmental counsel in connection with the Shipman case, and they're retained as substitute counsel to provide legal services to the town, and it shall not exceed $20,000.
For their service and $15,000 for subcontractors.
$15,000 for subcontractors.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 285 is a notice to bidders for a pump replacement. The bid is available on February 18th, 2021, and will be opened on March 18th, 2021, and the details can be obtained via email to the clerk or Jeannie Carosa.
This would be for the Camp Hero
Pump replacement, yes.
Camp
Second.
Hero. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 2021-286 is to approve the public access cable agreement with LTV. This is a renewal of the prior agreement, and the town board has already reviewed the extension, and it goes through December 31st, 2021, with an option to renew for 2 additional 5-year periods on mutual consent of the parties. And
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. Resolution 287 is a payout upon resignation. Julie Kudrup. And that would be for 40 hours of vacation time, $1,059.96, 25.25 hours compensatory time, $669.10 at a rate of $26.49 an hour for a gross total payout of $1,729.06.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. 288 is a provisional appointment, Senior Environmental Analyst Lauren Steinberg, Department of Natural Resources, at an hourly rate of $33.30, $69,268.16 annually, grade 31, step 3 for 40-hour work week, effective retroactive February 8th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. 289 is to adopt the 2021 capital budget and plan, and resolve that the budget was discussed on February 9th, 2020 work session, is adopted with additions listed below for a total of $10,744,135. The additional items are $250,000 dedicated to energy sustainability projects townwide, $125,000 additional for EDA improvements townwide, and $100,000 additional for the Springs Library improvements.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. 290 is a resolution continuing the retention of outside counsel for South Fork Wind Farm LLC project. Resolved that John Wagner of the firm Sertelman, Balin, Adler, and Hyman LLP are retained as co-counsel to represent the town in all aspects of the wind farm project, including any litigation arising from connection therewith. And be it further resolved, John Wagner shall be compensated at a rate of $490 per hour.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. 291 is to continue retention of counsel, South Fork Wind Farm LLC, Duncan Weinberg Genzer, and Pembroke for 2021. And that's resolved that Jeff Genzer and Eli Elbut, their law firm Duncan Weinberg Genzer and Pembroke, continue to retain co-counsel to represent the town in all aspects of wind farm project at the attached rates.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. 292 is to retain the law firm of Picano and Scahill, PC, and this is in the matter of Eastern District entitled Extenet Systems Incorporated versus Town of East Hampton, and said counsel shall be retained at $200 per hour plus disbursements not to exceed $10,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. 2021-293 is to retain the law firm Picano Scahill PC, new singular 2021, and that is to retain as counsel Kelly E. Wright at $200 per hour,
Second.
not to exceed $25,000.
Sorry.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. 294 is to retain the law firm of Picano and Scahill for the calendar year in matters entitled Lechner et al. Versus Zoning Board of East Hampton, and that is at a rate of $200 per hour with disbursements not to exceed $25,000.
Second.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pass and carried. 295 is to retain Devitt Spellman Barrett LLP, Vanderveer versus Zoning Board of Appeals et al. 2021. And that is not to exceed $10,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. 296 is to retain Sokoloff Stern LLP, Safe Harbor Retreat LLC versus the town of East Hampton et al. And that is not to exceed $20,000.
Second.
Can we have a roll call on that, please?
Yes. Harold, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Burke Gonzalez,
Aye.
Councilman Lees,
Recused.
Councilwoman Overby,
Aye.
Councilman Bradman,
Recuse.
Supervisor Van Scoyac.
Aye. Passed and carried. 297, retain Dan Ruzzo, Whiteman, and Orsman Hannah Osterman, as counsel in the Sand Highway 2021 case, not to exceed $40,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. 297 is to retain Dan Rizzo and Whiteman, Osterman, and Hannah LLP, outside environmental counsel with regard to SECRA in 2021, whereas Dan Rizzo is attorney specializing in expertise in matters related to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and whereas the town wishes to have such services provided relating to environmental and governmental zoning matters, the town board, planning board, zoning board appeals, and ad hoc as needed basis, and that such services shall not exceed $20,000 for the year.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, pass and carry. 299 is town hall window replacement bid EH 21-011.
It's like Christmas.
It's like Christmas.
Second.
I didn't even get to finish reading.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just so anxious.
No more drafty windows.
I got the town hall window replacement bid EH 21-011. Bids available February 25th, 2021, and is due back March 25th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This will go a long way towards reducing carbon emissions and energy efficiency right here at Town Hall. Everybody needs to take responsibility for where they live and work, so we're doing our best here. Very glad this project's finally getting underway. Resolution 300 is to revoke license agreement, Peconic Historical Preservation, Brooks Park, whereas the town board has concerns as to the deposition of funds already donated to Peconic Historic Preservation Incorporated for the purposes set forth in the license, and desires to notify the appropriate state oversight agencies of the license rescission to ensure that any donated funds are properly transferred or returned to donors. And let's see, next page. Resolve, the town attorney's office is directed to provide the appropriate state agency with notice of revocation of license agreement and information in the town's possession related to donations of any funds provided to the not-for-profit for the purposes set forth in the license agreement in order to assure such funds are returned and or distributed to the proper fashion. Be it resolved that a copy of the resolution will be forwarded to Peconic Historic Preservation Incorporated.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. Do we have any other resolutions to offer? I will go to the phones. Michael, do we have any callers on the line?
Yes, we do. We have one caller. The last 4 digits of their phone are 8764. I'll unmute right now.
Mr. Buda,
We're memorizing now.
I recognize you. Hello, David.
Not only do you know how to spell my name, you know my phone number too. Oh boy, I'm in trouble now.
It gets read out the last 4 digits, and sometimes I remember.
Okay.
It's familiar.
I wanted to make
Go ahead.
I wanted to make a suggestion in view of the swelling coffers of the CPF fund. The Springs Park, which many of us call the Springs Dog Park, is probably in need of some capital expenditures that would be appropriate from the CPF fund, whether it be for autumn olive removal or perhaps for some type of minimal structure to provide shelter from sun or rain in the rear area. And then thirdly, and probably most importantly, most expensively, it's been 20 years since the town acquired the property. The fence is in pretty good shape. The stewards do a great job of making as-needed repairs to places where animals dig under or break through. But since there have been a few deer intrusions, and I can't for the life of me figure out how they get in, maybe it's time to do a section of fence replacement and clearing around the edge so that people can access it and inspect it for any type of breakage. I believe some of the damage and some of the problems occur when trees fall on the fence. And after 20 years, there are sections that definitely could use a total replacement. And I know that fencing can be expensive. And if the deer are going over the 8-foot fence, then perhaps it needs to be raised in certain sections on the north side where there's an adjacent open preserve.
Yeah,
Anecdotally,
David, I've heard that deer could be getting in because people aren't closing the gate properly. So I think land acquisition and management may be looking for a new, entrance gate. So, but we'll learn more when we start meeting.
There are 2 gates on the west side. One a pedestrian gate. Well, there are actually 3. But all of them could be self-closing, and that would eliminate. But I really think that the deer, well, I don't know how the deer are getting in, but the land stewards would have the best idea of where they might have come in. But I just don't think anyone's going to let a deer in through the front entrance, which is very well trafficked, and it's hard to believe that a deer could walk through the gate without someone seeing it.
Right. Well, David, you're probably aware that we did create that committee to review. And, I agree that that's an expense that could at least partially be borne by CPF fund as part of management. Thank you for calling,
right.
David.
And as far as the committee, I'm sure that Councilwoman Burke-Gonzalez will keep it open to any additional people that might want to participate. I think the committee is fairly well balanced and representative, but there's a tremendous usage, tremendous interest, and tremendous fervor about maintaining the park in pristine and excellent condition. So I'm sure she has no shortage of people willing to participate.
That's all true. Thank you, David.
Thanks for calling, David.
You're welcome.
Michael, do we have any other callers on the phone?
No, we do not.
Okay, at this point, I do want to make an announcement that town facilities will be closing at 1 p.m. today due to inclement weather. We want to make sure that all of our employees and the general public remain safe, and therefore we'll be closing a little bit early. The roads are starting to accumulate snow now, and they're getting slick, so we please advise anyone who's traveling out and about not to go out unless they absolutely need to. And if they do need to go out, just give everybody a little bit more room and greater stopping distance, and keep your speeds slow so that we don't have any accidents. Having said that, I'll entertain a motion to go into exec session to discuss personnel grievance and other personnel matters.
I move to enter into exec session to discuss personnel in the planning department and to seek advice of counsel.
Second.
What time do you want to go right now?
Can you go immediately in, please?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I'll send the link shortly. Again, everybody stay safe. There is vaccine coming. Hang in there. And if you do travel out, please drive slow. Stay safe and be well, everybody.